Hey, Summer, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Summer, for those who don't know Summer is a San Diego hairdresser who focuses on blondes and reds. And you're an ambassador for Style Tech. You're a Modern Salon Top 100 and just recently a Behind the Chair team member. Is that right?
That is correct. That last one's like the highlight of the
That's
year.
that's super awesome. Congratulations. So tell me how that happened. I guess just in the last couple of weeks I saw.
Yeah, I've been working with Behind the Chair since actually the pandemic, like getting their content creation boxes, which was awesome because I feel like when we shut down, it gave me something to do. I think my first box was a Schwarzkopf box, and my sister came over and I washed her hair in my sink in my kitchen and made content. And from there, I feel like just kept getting boxes. And then they asked me on the team in, I think, July or, or right end of July, I think, like right before the BTC show.
Super cool. Okay, so we're going to talk more about that. But before we get into it, I want you to just give us your background. Where are you from? How did you get into hair?
I've been doing hair for 22 years, a really long time. My mom is what got me into doing hair. I went to hair school in high school. She was like, I'm the typical hairdresser, talks too much, always on the report card. School was like a social. I love school. School was like great, not for academics, but just for having a great time with all my friends. So she's like, you should do ROP, which was a cool thing. They partnered with your high school, and I got to go halftime to high school, and then in the afternoon, I would go to hair school, and then which is great because the state pays for it, or it's like a state sponsored program. So I think all in all, it cost my mom like $600 to send me there. Um, and then I assisted out of there. My one of my uncles, who I'm not necessarily close with, but my aunt, my mom's sister, told her that I should go work at the salon in. I'm from Sacramento, so in downtown Sacramento, and I assisted there. Got the job probably a little bit because of him, and I feel like I'm very passionate about people assisting because I think it like helped my career, and then also I mentor now, and so I feel like it's full circle. But I did that for 10 months through the assistant program. And then my friend was moving to San Diego and she's like, do you want to come? And I was like, why not? I feel like in our industry, it's really easy to get like stuck. Maybe not necessarily now, because I feel like Instagram's opened up like a whole new world to like be able to get clients and stuff. But back then, like it was really hard to like build a clientele. But yeah, I moved to San Diego at 19 or 20. I just turned 20, um, and started working, and then I haven't left. Have a husband, three kids. Like I said, I mentor now in the salon, senior stylist. I'm traveling and teaching. I don't know. This career is just like never ending and like so many possibilities, and it's been awesome. All 22 years.
Wow. Okay, so I mean, yeah. Okay, so 22 years. So I started in this industry 23 years ago, and I barely remember some of those early times. So how long did you spend in as an assistant in Sacramento before you went to San Diego?
I assisted for 10 months because I was like that eager stylist. I loved color. I've loved color from the beginning. And I got offered a job at another salon, so I was bratty. I was 19, didn't know anything, and I was like, "Hey, I'm going to get a job at this salon or you guys can put me on the floor." And so they put me on the floor, and then I was on the floor for 6 months and then I moved to San Diego.
Okay, so what were those 6 months like
On the floor assisting, or so I assisted for 10 months. So
on the
the
floor?
assist on the floor. Um, it was a busy salon, so I was busy. We were like a TG, Tony and Guy salon, and like one of the top salons in Sacramento. So I don't really like remember. I mean, I just remember being like busy and just starting my career. I don't know. It's like that's so long ago.
I know it.
But I wasn't like,
It is a long time ago, but the fact that you don't remember anything that went horribly wrong is probably a good sign. Because
yeah,
so many hairdressers when they first go on the floor, they're still learning, right? So,
yeah.
all right. So you packed your bags at the ripe young age of 19. You headed to San Diego, which was probably very exciting. And then, where did you go? How did you get clients?
So I knew I wanted to work at a Tony and Guy salon because I mean, that was my bring. That's how I was brought up, you know? So I just looked for, Googled on the internet, Tony and Guy salons and checked out like probably 10 or 15 salons in all of San Diego. And then I found a salon called Diamantes and I started there. I met my best friend who, I mean, we're not as close now. I have kids, so and then our lives have taken different paths. But best friend, um, we we lived it up. I was 20 by the time I think I had my 20th birthday. So she took me under her wing, and then I don't know, we had a great time.
Okay, so I know we're going back a ways, but do you remember how you got your clients back then? And if I'm doing the math right, this is probably pre-Instagram still. Is that right?
Yes. Um, Clients, we would pass out cards. So I worked close to San Diego State, and so one of the front desk girls was a sorority girl, and a lot of my clients came from that. I offered, during rush week, they all want to get their hair done, so I was like, "Get your color done. I'll give you a free cut." And so from there, I like built that clientele because sorority girls are constantly getting their hair done, especially college girls with mommy and daddy's money. So it's awesome. And then word of mouth. So that's like, that was kind of all we did. It's like pass out your cards. If we were out and somebody was like, "I love your hair," we'd pass out our cards to everyone. And then referral programs. So the send me two people, I'll give you free XYZ. Hustled a lot.
And how much of that is still in play today? Obviously, we've got an online environment now with Instagram, and you've done well on Instagram, because you've gotten really good at content creation. But and you've been you've been in that market down there for a number of years now. So do you still feel like you need to market yourself?
No, I don't really take new clients anymore. I'm very picky. So, like our salon now, a new client has to send in photos. And so then I'll review those photos. And if it's somebody that I want to take, I'll take it. Like if they fit my vibe, like I only want dimensional blonding or dimensional reds or dimensional color. I do not want to do the 500 foils ever. So I'm just very picky on who I take. And then Instagram, obviously, like I get client referrals. So same thing. I just make them send me photos. And then I just like, if we're a good fit, we can move forward. If not, I'll refer you to someone because I work in a salon that has like 30 something stylists. So I'm definitely always referring people out to the stylists at work.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's, of course, where everybody wants to get in this industry, right? So they want to get to the point where you get your clientele down to the types of people that you want to be with. And it's both with the work that you're doing on them and their personalities, right? And there's a period of time in your career when you're just about taking anyone, including people that you don't mesh with from a personality standpoint. How long would you say you were in that period of time before you got to the point where you've got pretty much the clientele that you want?
Let's see, maybe like 6 years is kind of like when I started an an assistant program with one of my friends at Revive is the salon I was at for like 12 years before where I'm at now. I feel like about then, like my clientele was double booking. And that's when I feel like when you start to like double book, or if you want to double book, I feel like that's a very controversial thing now, but that you,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to do people's hair that I don't want to do. So I was definitely a lot more picky, probably about 6 years into my career.
Mm-hmm. 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 That makes sense. And one of the reasons I like to bring that up is because everybody coming out of school, they expect things to happen immediately, right? And so
Yep.
I like to tell people stories that are a little bit more grounded in reality. And during that period of time, there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into developing that ideal clientele. Not to imply that the work then stops. Of course, the work continues. And so we're going to get into all the different things that you're doing. Now that you have this kind of ideal clientele, your work continues, right? I mean, tell us about now that you have this ideal clientele. What are your days filled with? Other than behind the chair, are you still learning yourself?
Yeah, I was just at a class actually yesterday in LA, but I'm constantly learning. I think having an assistant too, like holds me accountable to like always be better and always be growing. And I think also like when I was at Revive, like such a young in my career, I remember like looking at some of the older stylists and being like, I never want to be them. I never want to be stagnant. I never want to do the same thing. So I think that's just become like my mantra of like, I'm never going to be, I'm never going to do the same thing all the time on everyone. So like my clients still, I have clients that I've had since the beginning of my career in San Diego that it's like we're still changing it up, like I'm definitely big on like changing with the season. So I don't know. I think that's also helped me keep my clients too. Cause I think part of the reason people leave you is because you don't change and they get bored.
That is the number one reason why my friends, kind of in my just immediate social network, when I ask them questions like, so who does your hair and what do you think, and or why did you leave that hairstylist? That is the number one response that I get, is that she was just on autopilot. Every time I went to her, she just did the same thing over and over and over again, which kind of reminds me of how it is for men's cuts in the barber industry a lot. When I take my son, let's say, to go get his hair cut, it's always like, so same as last time. Like that's the thing that is
Yes.
said. That's like the opener for the conversation every single time. So same as last time. Now my barber, a little bit different, but that seemed that kind of stagnant thing, while it can be comfortable for some people, I think it is a trap that you can fall into for sure. And it sounds like you're not very comfortable being in that comfort zone of doing the same thing. You like changing it up.
Yes, for sure. I don't, yeah. I feel like even if it's going to like kind of throw my day, I'm like,
So,
all right, we're going to do it. We're going to figure it out. Yeah,
so
always
what if
changing.
your client really loves what happened last time? What if they don't want, they have their own comfort zone, and so you wanting to change things up isn't exactly what they want. I mean, do you have that conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I have like, I feel like Instagram, we just show just the stuff that we want to show, correct? And so I definitely still have my root touch up clients that I do a 6N on all day, every day, but like maybe we change up with the toner, or I mean, there's definitely a ton of people I do the same thing. And I love them because also that keeps my day
Yeah,
somewhat normal and not chaotic also.
indeed. What are you experiencing behind the chair these days, just with general client behavior? Things like frequency of visit, price sensitivity, the culture of customer service. Give us anything that you're noticing.
Um, I feel I feel like clients. I think I feel like the recession ish or like is kind of starting to hit. I'm having like I normally don't get cancellations, and I'm definitely been having cancellations in my week. And so the only thing I can think of is like either they are just moving their appointments out or they're just canceling altogether. Um, so I feel like that's been what I've been noticing. Sometimes they're like, I feel like people are getting deep treatments and like adding on all these things. And I feel like that's kind of scaling back also a little bit. But other than
Okay.
that, I feel like I work in a pretty high
Mm-hmm.
end salon. So I don't have like a ton. And my
Mm-hmm.
pricing is really high. So I think it's
Mm-hmm.
also a little bit less. So for the people that have left, I kind of don't worry because Instagram fills those with, I can fill my books with other people that are more willing to pay the price point or whatever because they just value the
Mm-hmm.
work because of Instagram.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And you
Mm.
definitely have that advantage. And it's a difficult thing to consider for a behind the chair hairstylist. How much time do I spend creating content to bolster my Instagram? Right? You're already laughing because
Right.
how much time do I spend doing this, and is it going to pay off? And then, of course, it's like a long-term thing. It's really an investment of time in building your career in a few different ways, including your behind the chair business, right?
100%. I'm laughing because it's the running joke in my family is, am I working just for minimum wage for the amount of hours I put into my Instagram career?
So tell us about how many hours that is you can give me a daily or a weekly, however you think about it. I mean, is it like 4 hours a day? Is it that kind of a thing?
Well, I set a timer on my phone for 4, maybe 5 hours, and usually that goes off around like 6-ish, and then I ignore it. And then I think my weekly screen report puts me at like 7, which I don't think is like, I don't want to say it's horrible because I was in class yesterday and somebody said theirs is like 11. So I felt pretty good about myself, actually.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Well, it's bolstered your career both behind the chair, as you say, and it's given you these other opportunities. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit more about what you're doing behind the chair. Let's talk about bonders. Do you use bonders? Since you're a blonder, let's call you. Do you use bonders?
I do. I love K18. I'm obsessed with K18. I
Okay.
feel like
Are you
um,
are you sponsored by K18?
I wouldn't say I'm sponsored, but I'm in their collective. So I get like, if I post about them 2 times a month, then we get like a kickback of product. So is that
Okay.
sponsored? Kind of sponsored,
And
but I do
I'm
truly love
assuming
it.
I'm assuming you used to use. Did you used to use Olaplex?
I didn't. I, I hate to say things like this, but I was not an Olaplex fan. I didn't like how it slowed down my lightning service. So I didn't really use bond builders until I found K18.
Interesting, very interesting. So yes, Olaplex slows down the processing, adds time. I mean, what I hear, most people are like, it's like an average of 30 plus minutes. And so you never used it because of that. And then how did you start, or why did you start using K18?
I got it as a content box from behind the chair. So I got that. I fell in love with the mask. I think that was the only product they had when it first launched. And it just made, like, I do a lot of teasy foils or like the foliage. And so being able to put it on and then be able to brush out and tone right over it is like my number one why I love that product is because it eliminates the whole step of having to rinse out conditioner. Um, and then also like just that it keeps the hair healthy, obviously, but it doesn't slow down. I don't think it slows down the process, but yeah, I just love it. That was my reason why.
Very good. So the reason I ask is because people are always asking about the bond builder thing. And of course, we had Olaplex for all these years. They were just about the only one. And then K18 came around and seems to be a genuine competitor for Olaplex. The other bond builders, from just about every brand has them, and very few people really use them. But it seems like K18 is doing a pretty good job competing with Olaplex. What's so funny is when I ask this question, people are always so nervous to answer it, as if there's like, I don't know, like a mafia don out there who's going to like get mad at them for saying something negative, about one of the brands. We're not sponsored by anybody. We of course, we're powered by our salons, and we sell Olaplex, we sell K18, and we sell about 90 other brands wholesale to all of our beauty professionals. But nobody pays us to do this podcast. So I can freely discuss all of these brands. And so that's why I like to discuss, things like, things that feel controversial, even though they really shouldn't be, like bond builders. And I also like to talk about the other thing that people that are beauty professionals are always asking me and everybody else about, which is online booking. There's probably 200 online booking platforms, and which to use. That's kind of a big question in the industry. Do you use online booking?
I don't because I don't really take new clients. So I have our salon uses
Yeah.
Forest so I work at a commission salon. So we
Yep.
use Forest, which I love, but I turn off the
Got it.
online booking because I don't want randoms.
Right. Understood. Forest they're like an enterprise solution for salons. They also have the online booking element with the app and all that kind of stuff. And they've been around 1,000 years, and they're a really great platform. Okay. So we're not going to get into that too much. Okay. So now let's get into your educating. And by the way, I just want to point out before I ask you the question, you're an educator, but you also are a student, which is always the case for the best people, whether it's the best people in this industry or the best people in other industries. The educators are also students. They are also learning at the same time. And the reason this is so important is because those people who tend to struggle over time in an industry, not just ours, are the ones who get too proud to be a student. They get too proud to continue learning. And so that's a really good quality, even if you're an educator, to be an educatee. So you're doing all that right now. But let's talk about you being an educator. You teach blonding primarily, correct?
Yeah, and social media and like photography. Kind of been
In
into the
social media.
photography thing.
Yeah, and I love what you have to say about it. We're going to get into that in a second. But first, I want to ask you, with the blonding, what are the major mistakes? Let's call it the first and second major mistakes that most of your students you see in your classes making mistakes with blonding.
I think the number one is people want to do everything faster, because that's how we make more money. So I teach the 18 foil placement so faster way to foil but still get like that high impact blonde with obviously less foils. And then I think in my classes too, a lot of people struggle with how to gloss or how to tone or color melt. So showing the ways that I do that to get that like really seamless blend. The mistake I see is that people, which I don't really think people make mistakes. I think it's just that they just maybe don't know or are scared, but
Sure.
is not leaving their toners on long enough. Like that's a huge one is another thing. They want to be quick, but that toner really has to sit. So I stress that in my classes for sure.
And are your classes hands-on or are they demo?
No, they're all look and learns. I've been teaching a lot with like other stylists, which I absolutely love because I think it's like a great value for people. They get two different looks for basically kind of the same price as if I was to teach on my own. Um, so mostly look and learn. Maybe I'll do hands-on one day. That would be fun.
All right. So this is bringing me to the part of the conversation where, I'm trying to wrap, I imagine the listeners are like, okay, so she's got a full book behind the chair. She's educating. She's an ambassador for brands. She's, Modern Salon and behind the chair doing things for them. And she's creating content online. Like, how does that even happen? Like with one person, driving that engine. So, so I'm going to ask you the question this way: when you get different opportunities, how do you know what to do and what not to do?
So I'll take you on a little story. So in February or January, I got asked to go to a modern salon photo shoot, where it's called Artist Connection. And I think it was Anne, who's the CEO, I think, of Modern Salon. She
Anne
was,
Murado.
yes, I love her. But she
Mm-hmm.
said something, but I just told her, like, my whole thing is to never say no. So I don't say no to any opportunities, even if it scares me. And in that, like at the end of the Artist Connection, she was like, "Hey, do you want to come speak at the Modern Salon Boot Camp?" And so I told her, I was like, "Well, I told you I never say no, so I'm going to say yes." And I am scared because I've never been on stage, but I feel like just like
Mm-hmm.
never saying no. So even like being on this podcast today, I've never done a podcast. I wasn't necessarily as scared because it's
Mm-hmm.
like behind a camera at my own home, so it's like comfortable, but just not saying no to
Right.
things. Like that's the biggest thing is you have to say
Mm-hmm.
yes, even if it's free or even if it's not paying as much as you want. Um, that's how you get opportunities. And I network everywhere I go. Like I feel like I just like to make those genuine connections and meet people. And I don't know, just has brought me to where I am today for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a very simple way of describing somebody who ambitiously takes a lot of opportunities, and that I think it's a great thing to do if you can handle it emotionally and with your time. You mentioned even if it's free, and that's absolutely the case. Because it's taking you away from the chair, right? And in some case,
Mhm.
I don't know when the Modern Salon event is. Are you talking about the one in LA? There's one in LA coming up.
Yeah, so I'm on stage with my friend Shannon, and we're teaching photography at the boot camp in LA.
Yeah. Okay. So it might be on the weekend, but that's taking you away from something. It might be your family, it might be behind the chair, it might be something. So having being open to opportunities is amazing, and it generates more opportunities, but it comes at a cost. And you're definitely leaning into
Mhm.
those opportunities, which is pretty awesome and good for you. So the photography thing, I made a note to ask you about that because you have some things on your Instagram that I love. Just little tidbits,
Oh,
little
thank
tactics
you.
to use that everybody can use with their clients in improving their content, which don't take time necessarily. One of the things that I liked on your gram was recommending that a hairdresser ask their client to close their eyes, and you count to three, and then they open their eyes. Why do you do that?
Because it just makes one, you get like the most genuine smile out of them because they're not posing. Like, have you ever taken a photo and you're like standing there for 3 seconds or four, and you're like, okay, my smile is getting less and less real. So it just is like that
Every
perfect
time. That
like
that's how
smile every
photos of
time.
me are every time.
Yes. So if you have, have your close your eyes and then have your photographer be like, okay, count to three, you just get like the most genuine smile usually. And then even if it's not perfect the first time,
Hmm.
like showing that, that's why like my latest post, I was like, show them because I feel like I show every client, like, look how beautiful, I'm a hype girl. I'm like hyping them up too. You have to like make them feel like they are the most beautiful person. I mean, they have like the most amazing hair, right? You just did it. So, um, showing them makes them feel like 1,000 times more confident and like are like, okay, I look good, and then they relax. And so, and like I love too when my clients or
Hmm.
like friends, I take photos of them and they use it as their Instagram pic. Like that's the most rewarding thing ever.
And free word of mouth, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what other posing tidbits do you have?
So I think my first like viral video, I guess if we want to call, I don't know what's considered viral, but was my redhead copper client, and I did the whole like I call it now the teacup pose. So like they tip the side and tip and like showing people how to do that. I think just me being able to break it down super simple for people has helped people like know how to do these poses with their clients, or they show their clients now. Like that's the feedback I get from people that they like love those videos because they show their client and then their client knows how to do it because it's kind of hard to like make a regular person do some of these poses that we make them do.
And what about editing? What do you use for editing?
Um, I was into Snapseed. I'm kind of like dabbling in the Lightroom now because I feel like you can fine tune a little bit more. So I've been trying to spend a little bit of time like looking up YouTube videos on how to like utilize that app better. And then Facetune, obviously, it's like such an easy one. Make our clients look good, and Face App sometimes. I love Face App.
Face app. What is Face app? I'm wondering, do I have Face app?
I feel like Face App is like makes you look so good. So it has just presets. So I I kind of have a feeling like a lot of big time stylists do use that because the skin, like it just smooths the skin. You can add makeup to people's faces. Um, it's just, it's a great app.
Oh wow. So I'm
Maybe a
looking at
little.
it and that looks amazing. So wait, so obviously Facetune's been around a long time. I think everybody knows what Facetune is. So Face app just looks like something with more functionality because I don't think you can add makeup to somebody's face in Facetune.
Facetune did come out with makeup, and the eyelashes and the eyeliner are actually really good on it. They don't look super fake.
Oh,
But Face App just, I feel
got it.
like it just, I don't know. It's like a filter, makes everyone look great.
Yeah. So what about the controversy over filters? You're right. I mean, this is some people. Sometimes you see comments where it's like this is totally edited and not even real. And sometimes I think most of the time they're talking about the hair. But
Mhm.
what about that whole thing? Like, is this authentic?
I think I teach in my classes, like not to really, I think a lot of people teach this, but not to edit the hair. Like, so in Lightroom, I've been figuring out how to like just darken my background. Like, that's the aesthetic that I like for my photos, which I normally do in Snapseed, but I just trying to find like I don't know, something different, just always trying to change. Um, but I think that's like, as long as this to me is if the skin doesn't change, then you're good. Like that's when I feel like it looks fake. It's like someone that looks super ashy, but then you look at the skin on the hands or their face, and I'm like, it's blue. Like obviously she's not that blonde because the skin's not even warm anymore. So just doing it like just to enhance and not completely change. But you know what? Honestly, if somebody wants to do that, let them because they're going to have the clients that come in are like, I want this. And they're not going to be able to like kind of reproduce it because it's not real.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything in your career, and I still can't believe, I mean, you look like you're, in your 20s. and so, but you claim to have been in this industry for 22 years. So, I mean, in that 22 years, is there anything that you wish that you hadn't done?
Ooh, well, first of all, I have a 15, almost 16-year-old son, so I am the age that I am.
I
But
don't believe it. I don't believe it.
um,
That's like a life filter. You're life filtering us.
well, I also live in San Diego where, I get Botox, all the things, so that helps a lot. And my
Yeah,
person tells me stay
lifestyle
out
is
of the sun.
good in San Diego.
Yes, yes, it is. Um, Sorry, what was the question again?
I almost forgot the question. No, the question was is there
Oh,
anything in the past 22 years that you wish you hadn't done? Like from a career standpoint.
I don't, because I feel like I don't nothing. I don't regret anything, or I feel like everything's been part of my journey. So like I've had a great journey. There's definitely a couple years that were a little, I left a salon after 12 years, and the journey to find where I am now. I still wouldn't regret it or like think it's a mistake because it's gotten me to where I am. And so I don't. Nothing that I regret for sure. Everything, it's been fun.
Well, that's amazing. It's amazing to be able to say that. If you could wave a wand and change anything about the industry right now, what would it be?
I think if anything is like more community, more people building each other up, but I also surround myself with those people. And I love like Instagram has become like my inspiration friends. I, so I just think like more, I wish more people would have that, like finding, I think people that struggle in this industry, like finding your like group of people that will elevate you, even if it's not in your salon. Um, just I think if that could change, like more positivity, more people like
Yeah.
trying to build each other up, not tear them down, and not like no one's your competition. Like you are your only competition. So it's okay to share like knowledge and things with people because you're only making them better, which then makes yourself better.
I say often, maybe not often enough, that out there in the world, in the population, there are so many people who don't go to the salon regularly, like as regularly as your best clients. So many, so often. I mean, before COVID, Donovan and I would go out onto the streets of Los Angeles and we would ask people, man on the street sort of interviews. And we would ask people about their experiences in salons. And I came away from that experience. We did it maybe 5 times and then COVID hit. And then all of a sudden, you couldn't come within, 50 yards from somebody. But it was always so shocking to me how many people were like, oh, yeah, I went to the salon like 9 months ago and, I got a haircut or maybe I got some color and I haven't been back. And it's always like, wow, how much opportunity there is out there for us to do a better job connecting with, a higher percentage of the people out there and get them to come back more frequently. So, when people say things like, that it is cooperation over competition or something along those lines, it's absolutely true. There's so much opportunity out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we shouldn't be in a situation where we feel like we need to compete with somebody, another hairstylist. I totally agree. Do you have any hair horror stories? You must have screwed up something at some point.
Oh, yeah. I actually fried my best friend's hair. Not, but I say everyone's my best friend, but
Nice.
really good friend. And I definitely didn't sleep about that for at least a week. I'm sure, like, I think of how I used to do hair 15 years ago, where we put, highlighted everyone and then put them under heat for like 20, 30 minutes. Like, so much hair, and they're like, my hair feels dry, and you're like, you're just like, I don't know why, it's fine, like you want to be blonde. So I mean, yeah, I feel like I've evolved a lot, but for sure, I'm like done bad haircuts, like someone that wants a pixie and I have no idea how to do it, and you just do it because we took anything and everything when you first started. Um, I think though, like frying my friend's hair was like a obviously it's still like in there because then she's posting like she needs to do B3 treatments because, and I'm like, it's because of me.
That's funny. Well, at least it's your best friend and not a stranger off the street who's going to go out there and disparage you.
Yes, I'm sure, though I've fried
And of
some
course, you got a
strangers.
chance. Yeah, I'm sure you did. And by the way, with your best friend, you had an opportunity to remedy it.
Well, I didn't because we didn't work in the same salon. So she was doing it at her salon. But yeah, we're still friends. So that's
Okay,
great.
so you didn't. So but you carry the guilt. Even though you're still friends, you carry the guilt of that one bad service for her. All right. Any last words for the community?
I love this industry. And if anything, I just feel like it makes me sad when people leave it because they don't either find their people or find the salon to work at. So, and then yeah, I feel like just keep working hard and dreams do come true if you work hard.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this summer and hope to see you at a hair show soon. You are mainly summer, main as in like a mane of hair, like a hair mane,
Yes.
Manely .summer. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.